Welcome back to another Pokemon What If Wednesday, where every Wednesday morning we go through last week's investing and collecting questions, where your guys' questions will actually be featured in the video, and one person's question will help me make the thumbnail every single week. So please drop your questions down below for a chance to be in next week's video, and if I did comment you saying great question, I might use this and I didn't, please drop that same question again and put repeat question will get moved to the top. And I'm not saying I'm some guru who just knows everything, but when I'm unsure, I always like to talk it out with a few people. It always helps me make my final decision. And as you guys can probably tell, I am pretty sick and I probably sound terrible, so I apologize for that. And this video is definitely going to be a little bit shorter, so again, I apologize for that. Just make sure you guys put your questions down below again for next week's video, and I promise I'll do a bigger one. And then, of course, we do have to give a big thanks to our video sponsor real quick, and that is Collectr. This app is the best of the best when it comes to tracking your collection. No other app even compares. I have tried every single one of them. They even have a super good website, too, that you guys could use. And then they're always trying to add new features. They just added the brand new feature called Trade Analyzer, and this thing is sick. They also do more giveaways than anyone in this entire hobby, so definitely check them out. I'll have all the links in the description. Then, of course, if you're going to grade through PSA for your very first time, you can click my link in the description, use the code BEARD25, and receive $25 off your very first submission, and they just raised their prices, so that will definitely help. Then if you guys could do me a massive favor and go check out my newest vending video, I will have the link above, and I'll have it in the description also. That would really mean a ton. But all right, first question. This is from Zach Ria. Thank you for all the help. First of all, I've learned so much from you. Do you see Destin Rivals hitting 1K by summer? Or is there a good chance we get a reprint and booster box prices will drop? So let's check out the booster box. This thing went from $395 to basically $600. Dropped down a little bit now, $580, $550, $565, $1 and $500. But $1,000 by the end of the summer, that's definitely a little too high. It will not be at $1,000, and we will get a reprint of this box. We just have no idea when. We don't know how big it will be, but one thing I can guarantee, it will go so fast. So with it selling super fast and it being a Team Rocket set, I can't even really see it dropping that much, even if we get a reprint. I mean, let's say it's at $650 and we get a big reprint, I could see it maybe dropping to like $500, like at absolute most. And to be honest, this box could easily be like $750 by the end of the summer. Especially with this market and how people are investing and stuff, I could just see people doing big buyouts and just keep wanting to get in and not wanting to FOMO and miss out. But in my opinion, you might as well just wait till we get a reprint, because we'll 100% have a dip. Don't know how big it will be, like I said, but we will for sure get a reprint and the box will definitely come down in price a little bit. But yeah, I mean, there's a very good chance this box is very expensive by the end of the summer if we get no reprints at all. All right, next question is from Royal Syndicate 44. I've been looking for a near mint or lightly played Reshiram full art legendary treasures card. Is there such a thing? They all seem smoked. So when you deal with something like that, you just got to buy upgraded and crack them out of the slab, to be honest. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, but you're going to be getting a better quality card than you are buying, cards on eBay, because they're always going to come with a couple scratches they didn't picture. It happens almost every time. But yeah, a lot of PSA 6s, honestly, are very nice binder cards. If you're a little bit more picky, of course, you get a 7 or an 8. But there's multiple 7s. There's a 6 on eBay right now, $250 your best offer. So, shoot them some offers, and hopefully you can score something nice. But all right, next question is from Shiny Arena. I always love the content. This might be very different by next week, but the new Erica's Tangela is one of my top chases for Ascending Heroes. I gave in to the FOMO a little. I know better, and bought a couple. What do you think of the card? Should I sell one to make my money back, or do you think it has a chance to get more expensive than what it is now? Thanks so much. Honestly, I think this card has a little potential. So I think you might be okay. It will probably drop a little bit more, once everybody actually gets their products and stuff. But I could definitely see this being one of the cards that does get hyped up. And the pull rates are not very good for the set. So honestly, I could see this thing dropping down to maybe like $15, something like that. And then I think there is a chance it could shoot back up to a $35, $40, maybe $45 card. It is very possible. It's definitely one of the best IRs in the set. Next is from Kalel. Question, how fair of a trade would you consider a regular Destin Rivals ETB for a regular Ascended Heroes ETB? Should one side get a little cash topper? So definitely the Destin Rivals ETB is slightly better. It's also worth more too. Ascended Heroes is selling for like, $140. Destin Rivals ETB now selling for $175. It's been out quite a bit longer. We're getting into the mega era now. And Ascended Heroes, we're going to have a ton of these ETBs all over the stores. Of course, they're going to be scalped and going to be tough to find. But still, much easier to find than a Destin Rivals ETB. Plus, Destin Rivals does have the Team Rocket nostalgia. Even though I do think Ascended Heroes is technically a better set. Way more art. We're getting multiple Pikachus. We're getting a Mewtwo also. So there's not really a lot that Destin Rivals has that Ascended Heroes does not have, in my opinion. All right, next question is from Compass CC. Hello, Mr. Beard. Thank you for all you do for the Pokemon community. What are your opinion on the Lucario V-Star Sword and Shield promo? Personally, I think it's the best Lucario art we've gotten, and I am shocked I can still pick up sealed copies for around $10. Do you think this card is overlooked, or is there a reason why it's still so cheap? Thanks again. So, yeah, it's definitely pretty cheap. I mean, it was like $6 a couple months ago. Now it's $9. But yeah, anytime you can get pretty solid art for a promo and an ETB that is going up in price, and the promo is still dirt cheap, it's a no-brainer. But I do think the Lucario SIR that we just got blows this one out of the water, in my opinion. But again, for a $9 steel promo, no-brainer. Next is from a member at Aaron BF20. And again, I apologize for my voice. I can just hear it. It sounds terrible. With Pokopia coming out, I don't know if I pronounced that right. What are your thoughts on all the Ditto set, meaning all Pokemon are drawn as Ditto as a Pokemon? I honestly would be into that set. Imagine a Ditto SIR with many different Ditto Pokemon on it. So yeah, it's a new Nintendo Switch game, kind of like an Animal Crossing game, but I think you play as Ditto, and it looks pretty fun, to be honest. I know my wife's going to be all over it. So if you guys did not know, we do have Ditto cards. They did a thing in Delta Species where they literally turned like Bulbasaur into Ditto, but the card literally says Ditto. Same with Pikachu, Squirtle. And honestly, I could see these cards going up in price a little bit when, you know, that game actually does come out. And I love little collections like this where you can just collect, 5 or 10 cards and you got them all. Those are my all-time favorite. But yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool if they did bring back a Ditto set like this. I think that'd be a ton of fun. Next is from Minoy96. Hey, Beardman, what is your take on tag grading company? I personally think electronic grading is the future for the purity of card grading because humans are in no way consistent or always fair. And if I'm going to grade a card, I want a true and consistent grade, full stop. What do you think? Is tag worth going all in on? Thanks. So I've been checking a lot of tag cards when I do see them. I don't see them a ton, but when I do see them, I always check them. And they're not perfect yet. The AI grading is not 100% perfect yet. They're always trying to improve. So I think it's, okay to wait a little bit longer, especially, to be honest, tag cards are extremely hard to move. Plus with it being, tough to get good grades, you're going to get much lower grades. You're going to get a lot less value. Now, if you're collecting for your actual collection, you don't care about resale right now, it is totally fine to start, collecting with tag. I do think their slabs look clean, but there is one thing that does bug me about the slabs is, they're clear slabs and they look clean, but it kind of depends on what's behind the slab. Because I've seen now people display some of them, and if you have some stuff behind it, it kind of looks weird. But, if you have it on like a black background, it just looks super, super sick. So, I mean, tag definitely has some stuff going for it. Now, if you want like the full report and all that, it is very expensive. I think it's like $40-something a card to get your cards graded if you want like the full report. But I think, you don't have to do that. You can do the cheaper one where you're still getting like subgrades and stuff. But I do think they are very, very solid. There's also a rumor that they're going to start doing these pods where you guys can get a card graded in person, very quickly, which would be an absolute game changer. But in my opinion, if you want to be a little bit safer, it's probably better to just hold off just a little bit longer and stick with like, PSA just because they sell so easy. But again, it really depends on what you're doing. If you're like a long-term collector, you just want the cleanest cards, which that's what it kind of sounds like. Tag is probably a very, very good option for you. But all right, next is from @MoenCG. Every video is great, inspiring me to learn and follow in your footsteps one day. Thank you. Question, do you have recommendations for videos or channels for learning about all the Pokemon themselves and vintage cards? Yes, that is called my Throwback Thursday. Every single Throwback Thursday, we cover a set, and we literally did every single set, all the way from base set, all the way, we're in the Sun and Moon era right now. Every week, every single Throwback Thursday, we check the next set, and we go in complete order. And lately, we've been even checking a certain Pokemon and looking at their best cards in Pokemon history. So you can literally go back and just watch all of my old Throwback Thursdays, and you're going to learn a ton, I promise you. And you're going to know more than 95% of the people in the hobby if you do actually watch those videos. That's why I always recommend watching my Throwback Thursdays. And we also do a giveaway every Throwback Thursday now. Next is from @Dishface93. How should I attack my graded sequential Prismatic Evolution God Pack? Do you recommend holding this for 5 years or sell now and invest in vintage instead since modern is dipping? Love your videos. So in my opinion, I think that's a grail thing to even have. I mean, getting a God Pack is crazy. Those cards are not super easy to grade. They're not super easy to pull. Getting it all sequential, that might be worth holding on to. That's definitely going to be a crazy, crazy collection in the future that most people are not going to have. Next is from Gavin Reed. Hey, Dr. Beard, I know you have hundreds of collections at this point. I'm looking for some new and fun collections to embark on. I just finished my Pokemon Working Jobs collection. I have some theme pages for the seasons, and I've been working on stacking connecting cards. I keep asking around, everyone has the same recommendations for new collections. wondering what your most unique and fun collections are. So one that I always recommend to people is collecting your favorite Pokemon. Like I collected every single Dragonair card, every single Suicune card. That was an absolute blast. Of course, if you pick Pikachu or Charizard or Mewtwo, basically impossible, to be honest, especially if you include Japanese exclusives and stuff like that. So that's a blast, especially if you do pick like a random Pokemon that isn't the most popular. Like Dragonair was pretty easy. Really only has like 3 or 4 kind of expensive cards. So that's a blast. Now for me, when I do my collections, I really like to collect, the best of everything. So I like to collect, all the level X cards or the EX cards or the Prime cards instead of doing master sets for every single set, which is just so much money and almost impossible. So just collecting the best of, works out a ton. Even the newer sets right now, I only collect illustration rares and special illustration rares. I skip all the rest just to make the collection actually doable. And I have, the most popular cards and the cards that I like the most in my collection. So doing that is super fun. But there is some nice vintage master sets that are pretty easy. Southern Islands is a great, beautiful set to collect. The Mew is the only one that's like really expensive, and it's not even that expensive for how old it is. So that one's a blast. So yeah, you get a lot of options, but like no joke, my favorite ones are the smaller collections because they're actually doable, like the Ditto cards, just like that. It's perfect, not that expensive. You can actually complete it, no problem. So hopefully I helped you a little bit. And last on the list is from Isaac Shatler. My local Safeway has about 1K sleeve boosters of Stellar Crown available. I hesitated until I saw they're about $9 right now for Market. Please explain how the worst set of Scarlet and Violet is more expensive than sleeved of like Destin Rivals or Twilight. So technically Shroud of Fable is the worst set of Scarlet and Violet era. Stellar Crown is definitely much better with the Bulbasaur and Squirtle. Now, this happens all the time. We just talked about this in my last Market Monday, where the Sword and Shield base set booster box is the 3rd most expensive set in the entire Sword and Shield era. Even though it's probably the worst set. The reason why is because it just did not get a lot of reprints. That happens so much. And this is one of the main reasons why I like to get a little bit of every set, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's not going to get reprinted. Same thing with like Rebel Clash. That set got basically no reprints for Sword and Shield, and the ETB's super expensive and outperforms pretty much all of the other ETBs. So that happens a ton. So I'm guessing Stellar Crown just really has not gotten a ton of reprints for the sleeve boosters. But you have to remember, just because, they're selling for $9 doesn't mean they're going to sell as fast as Destin Rivals or Twilight. You're probably going to sell 1 Stellar Crown pack to every 20 Destin Rivals packs, if that. So just because it's worth a little bit more doesn't always mean you're going to make a ton of money. It might take you a long time to sell those. Like the Sword and Shield booster box, it does not sell nearly as much as like Lost Origin and Fusion Strike. They do sell, so it's going to take you a little bit longer, and it is worth it, but, it's not as popular. But all right, that was today's Pokemon What If Wednesday. Again, I just want to apologize. I cannot stress that enough. I know I sound terrible, and this video was super, super short. But of course, if you guys like this content, you guys want to stay ahead of the market, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment. And of course, if you guys want to support more, you guys can check out my Instagram, my TikTok. Also, Mrs. PokeBeard just started a TikTok. I'll have the description down below for that. So please go give that a follow. That would mean a ton. She's going to post a lot of behind the scenes content and stuff. So that'll be really cool. And then, of course, I want you guys to have a great day. If you guys want to watch my newest vending video, click this video here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.